Alright, what's up everybody? This is Matt with Jaguar Books. Today I wanted to do a video on one of my favorite books, and that's Tattoo Fantasy, the 2003 book by Kaname Ozuma. He does have quite a number of different books, and if you're familiar with his work, they do kind of get a little spicy. But this one's a little bit more tame, and it kind of hits on all the points that make his artwork so great. So yeah, let's get started. You'll notice that this is a slipcase. There is actually a second slipcase. It's blue, kind of generic. It doesn't have any markers on the outside, so I kind of skipped using that for the video. The cover is white, nice texture here, and the blue is, this blue character is kind of engraved on there, or inscribed. So yeah, let's get started. The very beginning opens up with a little two-page text. Really just one page of text because it's bilingual. It's in Japanese on the left and English on the right, and it kind of just gives a little bit of background on how he views his artwork. And yeah, so just a little bit of intro there. And this first section is going to be a lot of the tattooed women that he's known for, and I'm pretty sure that most of these are covers for SM Secret Stories, or SM Hishosetsu is how it's pronounced in Japanese. So yeah, a lot of these are going to be the covers that he's most known for. A lot more soft. The interior artwork that he would have done for those and many of the other adult magazines were a lot more risque, and you know, it's the bondage stuff that he's most known for. Obviously you can't really put that on the cover. So this back piece right here, this is a Horiyoshi 3 back piece, and a lot of you might notice it from the Wanza Kure book. I think that came out in 2002, and if this book came out in 2003, he would have certainly put this painting together pretty quickly. And you'll see here in a minute that this is not the only painting that features this model and this tattoo. So it's going to reappear many times throughout this book. I know he has painted tattooed models by Horitoshi I and Horimasa III, and if you want to check out a video of him actually painting those models live, I do have some video up on my second channel, which is Inked Jaguar, and I'll put the link in the description of that. There's also another video of Kaname Ozuma talking with Horiyoshi III, and they discuss kind of their meeting in the 80s. I think Horiyoshi III says it was 1987 that they first met up. And yeah, so be on the lookout for that. Nice common back piece right here, Sword and Dragon. The newest book by Kaname Ozuma was put out by Pan Exotica, and it's a lot of his bondage paintings, but it does feature a write-up by Horiyoshi III, and he talks about that first time that they met. So not to spoil anything, but Horiyoshi III saw his artwork in one of those adult magazines, probably that SM Secret Stories, and he reached out to the magazine editor at the time, wanted to contact Kaname Ozuma. The two met up, and Horiyoshi III says he was shocked to find out that Ozuma really only had one reference that he was using for tattoos at the time. Now here is that Horiyoshi III back piece again from the book Wanza Kure. Really striking reddish orange face of the dragon, the red scaled body with these really light blues in there. And since Kaname Ozuma uses silk for his preferred medium, you really get that soft tone right in there. And of course the background here with this light, really only achieved with that silk. Alright, the next section, there's probably going to be some more of the tattooed women here in a minute, but a lot of this stuff is some of his more traditional Japanese designs. These would have been the paintings for the tattoos. So he also did these for a puzzle company. Yeah, that's right. He did puzzles. So if you were interested in putting together, 1,000-piece puzzles and with artwork that looks like this, Kaname Ozuma was definitely your man. And I have a few of those puzzles. I think I have some in the shop, but I also collect those, so they're pretty fun to put together. This is one of my absolute favorite pieces of his, Dragon and Tiger. And although I have not been to the Yokohama Tattoo Museum, I'm pretty sure that this is hanging up there, the original painting. So pretty cool. That just shows a lot more of Horiyoshi 3's love for Kaname Ozuma's work. And again, there is that same back piece, that same Horiyoshi 3 back piece, his signature here. And this is that same piece from the Wanzakure book. Maybe it was for the fact that this Horiyoshi 3 book had just come out, or maybe Kaname Ozuma really loved this piece. I mean, it is stunning. The colors are really amazing. Let me see if I have that book right here. Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. So I've done this video a number of different times. I've had to re-record because my apartment here that I work out of is quite noisy during the day. So the only time I really have to film is at night, and that's when my cats kind of get stirred up. So yeah, I've filmed this video a number of different times, so hopefully this is the cut that makes it. So yeah, here's the piece. Here's the real piece. I did just post this on my Inked Jaguar Instagram. Super cool. This photo right here especially, I mean, this photo right here is more of like an artistic shot, but the shadows kind of drown out a lot of it. This shows a lot of the colors that Horiyoshi 3 was able to pack into there. So yeah, that's cool. And that book I mentioned earlier, Pan Exotica, this book just came out, and it features, let me skip most of this because there's some stuff in here that I can't really show. Yeah, here is the Horiyoshi 3 section, first in Japanese, and then some English text. Just an homage to Kaname Ozuma. You know, the two were definitely lifelong friends until Kaname Ozuma's passing in 2011. So yeah, let's keep going here. More of these brilliant paintings. I would love to have something like this. Now, I do love the tattooed women paintings, but there is just something so striking about these soft paintings. And speaking of which, if you're interested in collecting any Kaname Ozuma prints or original artworks, the best place to get that online would be OzumaKaname, I think .net. I'll put the link in the description, but it's a website with original artworks and prints run by his son. So you're supporting the family and you're getting that direct link to the originals. Sometimes I see these original paintings in shops around Tokyo, and the prices are just, they're crazy. I mean, they are original prints, or they're original artworks and they are prints. So, you know, there's something that's never going to be duplicated again. So you do run that kind of risk of, you know, how real is this? And, you know, it's going to be expensive. But for the best price, you're going to want to hit up his son because he's got great prices on that stuff. So yeah, here again, this is one of my favorite paintings that he did, Silver Wolf. I'm not sure if this would have been for a back piece painting or maybe one of those puzzles. But I have not found this in a puzzle yet. I do love this so much. Now, some of these paintings I might have to edit out. We're going to let YouTube decide whether these are a little bit too spicy or not, and I might have to re-edit this video, but yeah, for now I'm just going to leave that stuff in. Hey, Kieran Beer, if you're watching, this would be a great logo for you guys. If you want to switch up that logo, get something like this. Super cool. And this shows that, you know, a lot of women getting tattoos back in like the 80s and 90s weren't necessarily getting full bodysuits. I know we've looked at some books where those women are definitely getting full bodysuits, but something like this is elegant, not taking up everything. You can still kind of wear everyday clothes without showing anything, but this is still just so hardcore. Just a huge design going from one side of the body over the breast up to the shoulder. You know, that definitely took time and pain right there, but it's not something that you would need to show off. So yeah, super cool. Mother and child dragon. Just the way the water is in action here, just so beautiful. All right, now we're going to get into some of the process, some of the line drawings and sketches before they become paintings. So we got the painting on the right hand side, and this is obviously a different drawing, but it's definitely the same theme, and maybe he would have drawn this out a few different times before this became a painting. Again, a little bit different, this fierce tiger from the back piece, but this would have been something that he drew out and then painted later. Sword and dragon. I think this is another line drawing that I would have put up on Instagram. You know, stuff like this is not quite as popular as the tattooed ladies, like this image on the right. But if you're a tattooer or even just an artist looking to kind of level up, you know how important this stuff is here on the left. I think we are going to get to those sketches here in a minute. Yeah, here we go. Sketches. So these would have been the paintings that eventually became the covers for those adult magazines. I know this one in particular, I think, is October 95. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if that's the exact issue, but you know, I do have a nearly full run in my collection or in the online inventory. And just from the years of looking at these, I can certainly recognize a lot of these covers. But yeah, these would have been the sketches before they turned into paintings. Like I said, that he would have used these. So let's go back to the fierce tiger. There is the fierce tiger line drawing. And then you've got like this sketch here before it became the painting. These are amazing. I wonder where these sketches are today, because this is the kind of stuff that I would love to have. But it's probably long gone by this point. Alright, now we're going to get right back into some of the covers for these magazines. This would not have been a cover just because it has this dragon in the background, which looks super cool to me, but this would be a little bit too busy. If you're going to put the title of the magazine up here, and then on the sides you're going to put the text of what's in the magazine, this is just a little bit too busy, but I personally love it. Again, if this is something that YouTube is not going to like, you know, I'm unfortunately going to have to edit some of these out, but yeah, we're going to let it ride for now. If you look back at some of the earliest covers that he did for the adult magazines, I believe that started around 1976 or 1977. Could be earlier. Definitely a lot more primitive. I'm not sure if he would have had that tattoo reference book at that time period, but his early tattoos were a little bit rough. It's kind of like he probably saw tattoos somewhere in person and was trying to draw them from memory. Now, that reference book that he would have used in his early years was Primary Colors, or Tattoo Encyclopedia, that came out in 1973. That was really the only book that Kaname Ozuma had to reference tattoos. You know, of course, I'm sure he had plenty of woodblock prints and woodblock print books where they would have had tattoos, but seeing actual tattooed people, like photographs, that really would have only been that one book. Here, definitely another cover. I think this is a 94 or 95 issue. So, yeah, this is either a 94 or 95 issue of SM Secret Stories. I'm trying to think of the books that he put out in the 90s that may have included some of these. He put out Woman in Tattoo in 1995, and that's the book with the Ed Hardy introduction with some words by Horiyoshi 3, and that's also a bilingual Japanese and English book. That's probably my second favorite book, and you know, not to just play favorites because this copy is signed. That copy, my copy, is also signed. So this book still beats it out a little bit. You know, it's a little bit smaller. That book is just so huge. If you're trying to read it in bed or something, it's kind of a little hard to navigate. But this one kind of hits on all the points. It's got those tattoo designs, those paintings that I love so much. Yeah, everybody loves the tattooed women, and how can you not? Because this is exactly what Kaname Ozuma's known for. But some of those paintings that are just, you know, like the dragons or the Chinese lions and that silver wolf, that stuff is easily some of my favorite of his. Okay, and yeah, we're just here at the end. There is that woman one more time from the Wanzakure book. Now this section is completely in Japanese. It basically just talks about his process and his career, and then we have a picture of Horiyoshi 3. I guess he's tattooing this piece right here, and this is definitely different because this is black scales, red scales here. So yeah, this is cool. Here's a picture of Kaname Ozuma drawing on a design. Now, I'm not sure. I don't think this woman would have gotten this tattooed. Maybe he was just drawing this on to paint her. Like right here. But he did, you know, he did a number of these different designs for tattooers. So it was kind of a give and take. Sometimes he painted women that were already tattooed by his tattoo friends, and sometimes he did the designs for those tattoos. So, yeah, in the beginning of the book he talks about he never really considered himself a tattoo artist, but certainly tattoo art had consumed much of his career as an artist. So yeah, that's Tattoo Fantasy, easily one of my favorite books. Period. And it's definitely my favorite Kaname Ozuma book. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite books of all time. And again, if you're looking to pick up one of his cheaper books, this is the newest book by Pan Exotica. And yeah, it also features his work under the name Yoko Ozuma. So same name, same person, just a little bit different of first name. And yeah, I can't really show a lot of the stuff that's in this, but this book is excellent, and it features that Horiyoshi 3 write-up, and it also features a Sorayama tribute piece in there, and a little write-up on Kaname Ozuma from Sorayama. So yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to do a video on today, and you know, I appreciate you guys checking these books out with me, and I'll catch you in the next video.